Hello everyone. I heard my name a couple of times today. First of all, thanks a lot for coming and staying that long. I hope you enjoyed it that far. And today I'm going to present to you TrueDeploy. It's actually the first public presentation that I'm doing related to this new project that we are running in the last few months. And as Nanik said previously, we aim to become the fifth spin-out from our university, but I will reach to that point in a little bit. In TrueDeploy, we're aiming to make software secure. As if you heard also previously, cybercrime is a very important issue with estimated $6 trillion in 2021, with its weakest link being software. However, in order to, first of all, software is everywhere. It's from your pockets and your mobile phones until maybe smart fridges and smart kettles you may have. But in order to create software, a developer has to use many different components, similar to how a car is being manufactured out of several other small parts. In software, we call it software supply chain. And nowadays, to be honest, it's very difficult to track exactly all the pieces of code and pieces of software that going inside in your software. And there were some breaches such as SolarWinds and Kaseya, or open source vulnerabilities like Log4j that were in the news lately. So it's a very important issue and a real problem. So nowadays, knowing the ingredients of the cake is really critical. There are also a lot of regulations related to that, and the whole market shifts towards more secure approaches. And about the Log4j specifically, just as an example, it was one of the most terrifying vulnerabilities ever happened. But even yesterday, 33% of all the downloads of the Log4j library were of the vulnerable version. And how is this possible, actually? There are some websites that you can double-check what I'm saying. But about that, let's see a little bit what happens in this area. We have the application security area, which has a lot of different testing tools. Some of these tools are related for different stages of the software or for different types of software. And then there are some platforms like Puleska, who are orchestration and automation platforms that aim potentially to combine these tools and automate them. And from the other side, we have other, more traditional, if you prefer, software that often companies use to store their security artifacts, or their certifications like ISO. There may be Jira, SharePoint, in order to share the information, potentially, and some more. But what we aim to create, it's not to create just another tool, just another platform that already exists. We aim to go one step further and aggregate the outputs and the results of all these different tools and tests in one platform, in one unique solution, which in a nutshell, it's a distributed ledger technology that provides a single pane of glass view of all the security-related artifacts. And more specifically, it's a combination of technologies, of distributed ledger technology and other SSI technologies to enhance the privacy even more, to combat software supply chain attacks, and assist in regulations and mandatory security standards that are coming in the next few years. And so far, we have identified 3 potential use cases about how this technology can help you and other people, other companies, from the most security conscious to the least security conscious. First of all, about defense and government, who are extremely conscious about their security, privacy, and compliance. Our product is a zero-trust, privacy-preserving distributed ledger technology that stores all the security artifacts in a transparent, tamper-proof, and immutable manner. Unlike the current approaches that do not allow the government to be 100% assured that all their vendors, for example, followed all the security measures and the best practice they could get. But I will show you an example to understand a little bit more what I mean. We have this governmental department or the defense, and they create their own software. To do that, they are creating their applications, basically. To do that, they may have different vendors out there. And they are relying to their vendors to do all the security measures they took. And they may approve them to be involved and create software for them. But what happens if some of their vendors become rogue or were rogue from the beginning and want to inject something vulnerable to the governance or the defense's code? Potentially the code itself could be adopted and infect the whole system later on. But if they could use a system like the one that we aim to build in the next year or so, they could potentially share a part of this system with their vendors that can do a lot of these security processes more robust, more secure. All the parties, the government itself can be sure about the output of all these tools potentially. And they could be able to view what happened if a specific vendor followed all the necessary practices, all the best practice they could get or not. And they could view somehow in a database, if you want to think about it like this, in an immutable database, they could see what happened exactly. The second use case is around healthcare and finance institutions and organizations who are security conscious and under regulatory pressures to ensure their security, privacy, and compliance. For them, our solution, again, is a privacy-preserving distributed ledger solution that makes compliance easy and gives them the ability to prove the best practices they follow. Unlike, again, the current competition and approaches who are sometimes unreliable and cannot provide properly all the security standards. Again, as an example, we have the bank or the finance institution or the healthcare institution that create their code. But this time they have the team, they have the developers to follow all the best practices and make their software secure. And at some point, they want to do a contract with the NHS or with a big bank. And the first thing, most of the times, that they ask them is about the security approaches they got. Did they follow all the best practices they could get? Do they have the correct certifications like ISO or are HIPAA compliant and more? So now the developers, I don't know if it's visible from their faces, they're not so happy. They have to go and actually find all this information. They may reach to hard disks, USB sticks, other network-attached storages, chats, Slack messages, and more. And some of the guys, also Jamie mentioned that today, in the best case scenarios, they may use Excel spreadsheets. So this is a little bit terrifying. But what about when they were taking, again, all these necessary measures, security measures, they could use, again, a system like the one that we will develop, and then share with the bank or health information only the data that they requested. They may not want to share everything they did to secure their software. They may want to share only specific information that the other party requested. They would be able to do that, and probably they are happy now. They could do it quickly. For the third use case, I will just show you the example from the beginning. We have startups. Startups often have so much to do. They may be worried about the security and the privacy, but they have to consider, do they want to spend this money for their security or for something else? Or do they want to use their talent and their security expertise to make their software better, more secure, or to do something else? For them, our system, it's more like a traditional database that they can use in order to have this single pane of glass view. With the addition that a lot of complex and difficult tests, toolkits, could be potentially automated. Often, a lot of these toolkits are so familiar to the startups. So our unique selling point is, it's that we are an innovative, privacy-preserving zero-trust solution that also is important that even us, the creators of the technology, cannot see what is actually stored there. And this is really important because if you consider what is the output of all these tools, most of the times is related to vulnerabilities and other security flaws that no one wants to share with someone else. And we also can provide insights on security vulnerabilities without actually knowing them. Similar to a zero-knowledge proof, if you ever heard about this term before. So far, I'm happy to say that we have submitted our first patent, we have our university's full support, and we aim to spin out from it towards the end of this year. And we have a big journey in School of Computing with 4 previous successful spin-outs. It's a little bit pressuring for us, but we hope to be the 5th. We're following ZoneFox, as Nanik mentioned, ZoneFox, Symphonic, Cyan Forensics, and Memcrypt. And about the team, this innovation mainly has been derived from my PhD, and I'm extremely happy to be with other very experienced professionals in business, cryptography, cybersecurity, fundraising, and investment. So far, for the next few months, that's where I also, me and Nanik would love your help. Basically, we have conducted several customer discovery interviews, if you prefer, with some of our potential users. It's not a sales pitch, don't worry, but we will be happy to discuss with you about your approaches, your pain points, what keeps you awake at nights, in order to help us validate our thoughts and our ideas. And also, we have tested our initial prototypes with approximately 10 different companies so far, and we plan to continue doing that later on. So far, we have identified open source software as their biggest pain point, and later on, we aim to conduct public surveys in order to verify this even more. Apart from that, we aim to partnership potentially with application security orchestration platforms. We are in some discussions with some of them. And we are happy also to conduct several pilots of our product in order to perfect it before going even further. And generally, we anticipate to have a freemium software as a service model that can be seamlessly integrated to existing systems and current approaches, because I believe that if we will not create something that can be integrated to existing approaches, and we will ask from people to change the way they develop things, they are not going to use it at all. And it's normal. But apart from that, we aim to have some features that are maybe do something small, but do it really good. So thank you very much. I hope I was quick.